There is a current moving in your direction, an invisible stream of wealth and abundance, flowing toward you this very moment, not because of luck, not by coincidence, but because you have aligned yourself with a deeper truth. That all things begin within, and that what you dare to claim inwardly must take form outwardly. Wealth is not on the way, it is here. And if you can stay open, it will rush into your life with divine precision. Close your eyes for a moment, not to shut the world out, but to let the real world in. That quiet space inside you, the one you often overlook, is the birthplace of all things. Everything you desire already exists there in finished form, waiting for your permission to step into the visible. You have not been chasing wealth, you have been resisting it. Wealth has always been chasing you. You see, the universe does not respond to what you beg for, it responds to who you are being. When you see yourself as poor, even while affirming wealth, you remain in conflict. But when you relax and assume the wealth is already yours, when you walk as though the deal is done and your needs are met, the world bends to reflect your conviction. This is not fantasy, it is law. Many wonder why their manifestations delay. It's not because they don't visualize or affirm enough. It's because they don't feel worthy of receiving. They look around at their current bank account and say, "This is the truth." But that's only the echo of yesterday's thoughts. Today, something greater is moving toward you. Wealth is not a stranger, it's a mirror. And it reflects not your struggle, but your state. To stay open is to believe in the invisible more than the visible. It's to live from the end, not toward it. When you declare, "Massive wealth is moving toward me," do not say it with doubt. Say it with the calm certainty of someone tracking a ship they already own as it approaches the harbor. You may not see the cargo yet, but it's coming. It has already left the dock. So why stay open? Because the mind that remains open cannot be fixed in limitation. When your consciousness is relaxed and expecting good, you become magnetic to opportunities, ideas, and sudden breakthroughs. But when you are closed off by fear, by neediness, or by pressure to make it happen, you choke the flow. That's not faith, that's force. Let your mind be fertile. Let it entertain the grandest images of success. Let it linger on the life you desire, not the life you fear. Do not rehearse struggle, rehearse triumph, rehearse abundance. Rehearse gratitude for what is already yours. In that mental rehearsal lies your power, your future, your wealth. This moment right now is sacred. It is your access point to every treasure you've ever wanted. And I want you to feel it, not just hear it. Massive wealth is moving toward you. It is bypassing systems, skipping logic, and arriving on the back of faith. Stay open. That's all you're being asked to do. Your wealth exists now in the invisible. Assume it's already yours. If you could truly see beyond what your eyes show you, you would realize that what you seek is already complete, in spirit, in essence, in truth. Wealth is not something you must chase, it is something you must align with. The great error of mankind is the belief that wealth comes after hard labor, after years of suffering, after proving one's worth. But this illusion is the veil that blinds you from what has been yours all along. The world you see is a mirror of the unseen. All matter, all form, all currency began as a thought. And that thought, if sustained with belief, took on life. The money you touch, the home you live in, the job you perform, all of it once lived in the invisible, held in the mind of someone who dared to believe it was already real. That is the secret most ignore. Reality does not begin in the bank, it begins in the imagination. You must assume it's already yours. Not hope, not wish. Assume, live as though it were already delivered. Walk into rooms as though your net worth has already reached its highest peak. Speak as though your wealth has already touched the lives of others. Feel as though the transactions, the miracles, the breakthroughs have already unfolded. Because when you do, the universe, without fail, conspires to confirm your belief. It is not arrogance to assume wealth. It is wisdom. The one who waits for the outer to change before changing the inner is a prisoner of circumstance. But the one who shifts within, even while the outer remains unchanged, becomes the master of their world. That is you now. You are the master. You are the architect. Your thoughts are not passive. They are creative forces. Right now, you are standing in a field of infinite potential. Every dollar you desire, every opportunity you long for, every contract, every gift, every miracle, it is hovering in the unseen, waiting for you to accept it. And the way you accept it is not through effort or begging. You accept it through assumption. You take it into your inner world and claim it as done. Say to yourself, it's already mine, it's done, my wealth is complete. Not as a mantra to force change, but as a quiet, knowing declaration from one who understands the laws of the mind. Say it, and then walk away from doubt, because doubt is the door that slams shut, but assumption is the door that swings wide open. Wealth responds to the one who believes it already arrived. So act accordingly. Prepare your life, speak your vision, set your environment, think in alignment. The world is not waiting to give you permission. The only permission that matters is your own. And the moment you say yes, not someday, but now, massive wealth begins to find its path to you. One of the greatest traps of the material world is the obsession with appearances. You look at your bank account and call it truth. You check your wallet and believe it defines your worth. You see unpaid bills and feel defeated. But these are shadows, not facts. The moment you declare them to be permanent, you seal your fate. But if you understand the power you carry, you would realize that what you see is not the end, is just a reflection of old thinking. To manifest wealth, you must stop observing lack. Because every time you stare at what you don't have, you breathe life into it. Every moment you dwell on what's missing, you prolong its absence. Your focus is your power. And whatever you observe with emotion, you invite more of. So shift your gaze, not with fear, but with awareness. You are not being asked to ignore reality. You are being asked to create a new one. Abundance begins within. It's not about how much you have, but how you feel. Can you feel rich, even if the numbers say otherwise? Can you feel full, even if the world tries to label you as empty? That is the test and the key. The inner state must come before the outer change. You don't wait to become abundant, you become abundant before it arrives. And then it must reflect that inner posture. When you choose to live abundance, you speak differently. You walk with grace. You bless others with your words. You trust the process. You become generous, not because you have excess, but because you know your source is unlimited. That is the secret of those who rise beyond poverty. They do not let the world tell them who they are. They decide from within, and the world follows. To live in abundance is to live with expectation, not anxiety, expectation. It's a sacred knowing that what you need will arrive, often in ways you cannot predict. It may come through a conversation, a sudden opportunity, an idea that bursts into your mind in the middle of the night. But it will come, because you are no longer resisting it with thoughts of lack. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. And if you are abundance, You will be surrounded by it, even when others cannot see it yet. Even when the world says otherwise, you carry it within. That inner vibration is your proof. That feeling of calm, of sufficiency, of I already have more than enough, is the magnet that wealth cannot resist. Train yourself to stop measuring, comparing, worrying. These are habits of the limited mind. You are not limited, you are vast. You are the open space through which wealth moves. Live from that. Think from that. Feel from that. And as you do, lack will fade, not because you fought it, but because you stopped feeding it. And in its place, abundance will take root, not just in your bank account, but in every corner of your life. Wealth does not come to the desperate. It comes to the one who knows who they are. There is a world of difference between wanting and being. You can want money all day long, but if your inner state is laced with fear, anxiety, and self-doubt, you are radiating repulsion, not attraction. Wanting alone is not a magnet, it's a mirror reflecting lack. But identity is magnetic. Who you believe yourself to be is what shapes your world. You were never meant to chase money like a beggar in the street. You were designed to attract it as a master of the inner realm. And your identity is the invitation card. If you call yourself broke, struggling, unlucky, cursed, no amount of effort will override that signal. The world can only reflect what you are sending out from your center. Your frequency is not found in your words, it's found in your state of being. So who are you in the unseen? When no one is watching, when there is no applause or validation, what do you whisper to yourself? That whisper becomes your wealth code. If you want to attract prosperity, you must start by walking in it mentally, emotionally, spiritually before it ever appears on paper. It is not about faking, it's about embodying. You must see yourself as rich, not in arrogance, but in alignment, because wealth doesn't follow need, it follows truth. The man who is deeply rooted in his identity as someone valuable, worthy, capable, and abundant begins to shift everything. He walks differently, he speaks with calm, he no longer panics when bills arrive, he no longer scrambles to earn validation. He knows that who he is brings wealth toward him, not who he tries to be when the pressure is on. That inner solidity is rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. You do not build identity overnight. You build it moment by moment, thought by thought, assumption by assumption. You wake up and declare, I am a wealthy man. I am a prosperous woman. I am a powerful soul whose mind creates abundance. And you repeat it not as wishful thinking, but as truth in progress. Every time you live from that identity, you rewire the world around you. Your decisions change, your posture changes, your vibration changes. Desperation comes from forgetting who you are. It's the child screaming in the dark, thinking they've been abandoned. But identity is the quiet confidence of one who knows that the light has never left. It's just waiting for them to remember their power. Don't plead with the universe. Declare your place in it. Don't beg for scraps. Prepare your table. Your life will always match your strongest identity, not your strongest effort. So choose wisely. Choose to be wealthy, not someday, now. Act from it, speak from it, think from it, be it. And everything you were chasing will start chasing you. You cannot reach a destination you do not feel. Thought alone is not enough. Visualizing alone is not enough. What builds the bridge between the unseen and the seen is feeling. The moment you allow yourself to feel wealthy, not just imagine it, you open the gates for that wealth to find its way to you. The universe reads emotion as instruction, and when your emotional state aligns with abundance, manifestation becomes inevitable. Most people live in emotional contradiction. They affirm wealth but feel fear. They visualize success but feel doubt. They say, I am rich, but the energy in their body says, I don't believe a word of this. That's why their reality doesn't change. The feeling must match the image. The inner vibration must echo the outer desire. You cannot be in harmony with what you resist emotionally. So what does wealth feel like? It feels peaceful. It feels secure. It feels relaxed. It feels like quiet joy, not panic. It's not adrenaline or chaos. It's ease. It's the sense of, I already have everything I need. If you can create that feeling even for a few minutes a day, you begin shifting your state. And once your state shifts, the world bends to match it. Feeling is the missing ingredient for most. They try to think their way to wealth, affirm their way, read their way, but they forget to feel their way. And that's where the bridge is built. You are not asked to know every step ahead. You are simply asked to dwell in the emotion of already receiving. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and feel yourself in the home you desire. Feel your body relaxing in financial peace. Feel the sensation of unlimited options, of choosing with confidence, of giving with joy. As you do this, don't monitor your current bank balance. Don't compare timelines. Don't ask how, just dwell in the feeling. That feeling is not fake. It's a spiritual signature. It's a claim on the future. And the longer you live in that emotional state, the shorter the gap between desire and delivery. You'll know you're aligned when you no longer feel anxious about the result. When you can feel wealth before it comes, you've already built the bridge. And then, in ways you never predicted, ideas, people, solutions, openings, it all starts to appear, not because you forced it, but because you became. So ask yourself, what emotion do I live in daily? Is it scarcity? Is it doubt? Then shift, not by force, but by practice. Rehearse the emotion of wealth. Even if the outer hasn't changed, let the inner be full, let the inner be complete, let the inner already have, because the moment you truly feel that wealth is yours, the world has no choice but to bring it to your door. Your mind is the theater in which your life is rehearsed before it's ever performed on the world stage. Every fortune begins as a picture, a scene, a mental snapshot impressed upon the invisible canvas of consciousness. If you want to experience wealth in the outer world, you must first direct it in your inner world. Mental imagery is not daydreaming. It is divine instruction. It is your invitation letter to the riches that are already yours in spirit. Too many people use their imagination against themselves. They worry, they fear, they replay scenes of failure, and then wonder why their lives reflect those inner movies. But imagination is not neutral, it is a servant. Whatever picture you repeat with emotion becomes the blueprint for what appears. So if you see yourself broke, struggling, or constantly in lack, you are writing a script that your reality must act upon. But if you begin to see yourself surrounded by abundance, living in wealth, giving generously, moving freely, then you change the story before the story changes you. Mental imagery is sacred. It's where you make contact with the unseen. When you close your eyes and see yourself signing the contract, driving the new car, walking through the home, blessing your loved ones with gifts, that is not just fantasy. It is the beginning of manifestation. You are not pretending, you are planting, and the harvest is always in proportion to the seed. The universe does not discriminate, it simply reflects. And the clearest pictures, the ones you hold most consistently, become the strongest signals. That's why mental imagery must be practiced deliberately. It's not a once-a-week ritual. It is a daily communion with your wealth. Morning and night, give your mind time to dwell in the world you are creating. Not the world you fear, not the world you've inherited, but the world you choose. And do not make your images vague. Be specific. What color are the walls in your new home? What is the number on your bank statement? What are the sounds you hear in your wealthy life? Who do you speak to? What do you wear? How do you walk? The more real it becomes to your senses, the faster it becomes real to your life. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is imagined with intensity and what is physically experienced. So give it the images of abundance. Let it soak in wealth until it knows no other reality. And remember, you are not trying to get something, you are becoming something. The inner picture is not about convincing the world, it's about convincing yourself. The moment you fully believe in the image, you will see evidence begin to emerge. Small signs at first, a message, an invitation, an unexpected payment. But they will grow. And soon what was once held only in your mind will walk beside you in the flesh. Train your imagination to serve you. Make it your home, not your escape. Picture wealth with clarity, with joy, with ease, and do it not as a wish, but as an assumption, because mental imagery is the handwriting of the soul. And when you write the story of wealth clearly, the universe reads it and responds without delay. The moment you become tense, you begin to block the very blessings that are flowing toward you. Anxiety, impatience, doubt. These are the invisible walls that keep wealth from reaching your hands. Staying open is not just about positive thinking. It's about living in the relaxed confidence that what you desire is already done. It's about staying in the end emotionally and mentally, even when the middle makes no sense. There is a deep magic in relaxation. It is not laziness. It is not passivity. It is the vibration of trust. It is the signal that says, I already know it's mine. When you are relaxed, you're receptive. You're tuned in. You're in harmony with the rhythm of life. And that's when inspiration flows, doors open, and unseen forces move on your behalf. But when you're clenched with fear or urgency, you disconnect from that stream. You begin to chase instead of attract. To stay open is to stop asking how. The moment you try to micromanage the path, you step out of faith and into frustration. You are not here to make it happen. You are here to allow it to happen. Stay in the end. Stay in the scene where your desire has already manifested. Live in the joy of it, the peace of it, the reality of it, internally. Because the external will always rise to match the internal when you persist without force. Think of a tree. It does not panic about its growth. It does not rush to produce fruit. It trusts the process. It allows the sun, the rain, the seasons to do their work, and in time it bears fruit without struggle. You are that tree. Your wealth is your fruit. And your job is not to stress about when the fruit will appear, but to remain rooted in belief, open to the process, and faithful to the vision you hold. There will be moments where things appear to go backward, times when the evidence looks scarce, but do not close. Do not retreat. This is when most people give up, right before the breakthrough. Stay open, stay soft. Let life surprise you. The detours are often the delivery routes. The delays are often divine timing, and the disruptions are often disguises for something greater. When a desperate gathering calls and boys calls on others, then they rise, it talks. Then they rise, it talks. Life is a sequence. Sometimes donations get closer. Staying open also means being ready to receive from unexpected sources. Your wealth may not come from where you think it should. A new contact, a random opportunity, a small decision that turns into a massive shift. These are the pathways that open when your heart is open. Do not cling to one door. Be ready for any door, or a window, or no door at all. Just a wide open field of miracles. So breathe, relax, smile as if the money is already in your account. Walk as though the life you prayed for is already your norm. Speak as if the contract is already signed, not because you are pretending, but because you are participating in the reality that already exists in spirit. When you stay in the end, wealth has no choice but to meet you there. Gratitude is not something you do after you receive. It's what causes the receiving. And faith is not belief in something far away. It's the knowing that what is unseen is already yours. These two states, gratitude and faith, are the most powerful receivers of wealth the universe has ever known. You don't need to earn more, prove more, hustle more. You simply need to receive more. And to receive, you must be tuned into the right frequency. Imagine turning on a radio. If you want to hear your favorite song, you don't cry because it's not playing. You simply change the frequency. Gratitude and faith are that frequency. The moment you begin to thank the unseen, to praise what hasn't yet shown up in form, to walk through your life as though you're already blessed beyond measure, something shifts. Heaven takes notice. The channel clears, and what was once distant moves in close. Gratitude is a signal. It tells the universe, I am aligned, I am ready, I am already full. And when you feel full, you attract more, not out of need, but out of natural overflow. You don't beg for what you already have. And when you live in deep inner gratitude, the world starts reflecting your inner reality. Unexpected deposits, opportunities, miracles, and financial breakthroughs begin to show up, not because you're striving, but because you're receiving. Faith works in harmony with gratitude. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It does not waver when the numbers look low or when the bank account seems dry. Faith says, I don't walk by sight, I walk by truth. It trusts the feeling over the fact. It holds on to the promise rather than the proof. Most people use gratitude as a reaction, but the masters of abundance use it as a creation tool. They give thanks in advance. They wake up and say, thank you for the wealth that is on its way. Thank you for the overflow already forming in my life. Thank you for making me a magnet to riches. And that emotion, the joy of already having, is what collapses time and speeds up the manifestation. When you combine faith and gratitude, you open the floodgates. You move from victim to creator. You stop asking, when will it come, and begin saying, I know it's coming. I'm preparing for it. I'm ready now. The longer you hold that state, the more power you release. And nothing, not economy, not history, not circumstance, can block what flows from that level of alignment. So each day, practice it. Feel it. Express it. Let your inner world become so saturated with wealth that the outer world can't help but obey. Stay open through gratitude. Stay faithful through vision. Wealth is not chasing the lucky. It is moving toward the faithful and the grateful. Be one of them. Wealth is not a destination. It is a reflection of your inner alignment. If you can see it, feel it, believe it, assume it, and remain open to it, then you are already on the receiving path. Massive wealth is not coming, it's already moving toward you. Through unseen channels, through divine timing, through invisible bridges. Your job is not to force it, but to allow it. To stop observing lack and start rehearsing abundance. To drop the identity of desperation and wear the cloak of royalty. To feel wealth before it touches your hands. To build mental pictures of the life you've already chosen. To stay relaxed, open, and firm in your end vision. And above all, to express gratitude for what already is and what is becoming. So stand tall, lift your spirits, keep your inner gates wide open. The wealth you've longed for is now longing for you. And the more open you remain, the faster it finds its way home. The world you see around you, the circumstances that seem to shape your life, are not the cause, they are the effect. They are the mirror reflecting the assumptions you have accepted as true. When you act as though you never pay attention to your circumstances, you are not ignoring life, you are mastering it. You are choosing to believe not in the evidence of your senses, but in the power of your imagination. They walk by faith means to persist in the assumption that what you desire is already true, even when everything around you denies it. If your bank account is empty, do not accept that as final. Assume wealth. Feel it. Live from it. Spend in your mind as though you possess abundance. To act as if you are already the person you long to be is not delusion, it is creation. All transformation begins with an inner refusal to accept the facts of the outer world. The facts will scream limitation, lack, rejection, delay. But you were not made to be a servant of facts. You were made to command them. When you dwell in the state of your wish fulfilled and you persist there, the outer must conform. That is law. Circumstances are not the truth. They are shadows cast by the light of your inner state. Change the state, and the shadow must change. There is no power outside of your consciousness. Nothing comes to you except through the doorway of your imagination. If you desire health, live from the feeling of being well. If you desire love, dwell in the atmosphere of already being cherished. Refuse to be distracted by the noise of appearances. When you act as though you never pay attention to your circumstances, you are not pretending blindly. You are deliberately placing your awareness where you want it to be, on the unseen reality that you are choosing. The world may not change immediately, but it must yield. This is not arrogance. This is the quiet confidence of one who knows the truth behind the mask of appearances. So stop reacting, stop explaining, stop defending your situation. Occupy the end, think from it, not of it. You do not beg for what you already have. You do not chase what is already yours. You simply dwell in the state and let the world rearrange itself to reflect it. The outer world, as compelling and real as it seems, is not the origin of your experiences. It is merely the result. Everything that appears in your life, your relationships, finances, health, opportunities, is an echo, a reflection of something deeper. It springs not from chance, luck, or even effort alone, but from the state of consciousness you occupy. Your inner world, the beliefs you quietly hold, the assumptions you accept without question, those are the seeds. Circumstances are the harvest. Most people live in complete reversal of this truth. They believe that if something changes out there, then they can feel better, think positively, or believe more strongly. But this way of living keeps them locked in a cycle where they are always reacting, never creating. They become victims of what they see, hear, and touch, all the while ignoring the incredible truth that these things are not independent, they are obedient. They follow the patterns of mind. When you stop looking at your circumstances as powerful forces and begin to see them as reflections, everything changes. You no longer bow to the facts of life, you begin to shape them. The moment you claim a new identity within yourself, even if your senses scream the opposite, the shift begins. It may not happen in the way your logical mind expects, but it will happen, because life must express the state you truly accept as your own. Think about this deeply. A person who constantly worries about money, no matter how much they work or save, is living from a state of lack. They might receive some income, but it will be temporary or filled with anxiety. Why? Because the state they are embodying, the consciousness of not enough, must outpicture itself. It must appear in some form, whether through unexpected expenses, stagnant growth, or missed opportunities. It's not because life is unfair, it's because life is obedient. On the other hand, someone who walks with an inner sense of abundance even if they have very little by outer standards, often finds themselves attracting unexpected help, ideas, and wealth. Why? Because they have accepted abundance as true within. They live from it. And so life reflects that truth in whatever way it can. The circumstances are not primary. They are echoes of what is held within the deep of the soul. If you continue to believe that circumstances are the cause of your state, you will always be at their mercy. You'll wait for someone to change, for the job to improve, for the body to heal, before you allow yourself to feel secure, happy, or successful. But nothing will truly shift that way because you're still giving power to the shadow instead of the source. This is why we are told to live by faith, not by sight. Faith is not blind. Faith is inner vision. It is the ability to feel and know the truth of something before the world confirms it. It is knowing that the unseen is greater than the seen, that your imagination is more powerful than your conditions. To walk in this way is not to deny the facts, but to refuse to give them creative power. Imagine, you are walking through a room full of mirrors. Each mirror reflects your image. If you want to change what you see, would you try to adjust the mirrors? Of course not. You would change your expression, your position, your posture. Then every mirror would immediately reflect the new version. Life works in the same way. The world is your mirror. If you dislike what it shows you, go to the source, your inner state, and shift it. The reflections must change too much. The law is impersonal. It does not care whether you're imagining something wonderful or something dreadful. It simply brings into form what you believe and feel most deeply. If you dwell in a state of fear, life will give you experiences to justify that fear. If you dwell in a state of love, peace, or joy, the world will rise to meet you there. This is not magic, it is law, as exact as gravity. So when circumstances arise that seem unpleasant, do not fight them or dwell on them. Instead, ask yourself, what am I assuming to be true that caused this to appear? Then go inward and make the shift. Assume something higher. Dwell in the feeling of your ideal already realized. Persist there, the outer must follow. You must remember that the outer world is always a step behind your inner reality. It is the delayed effect. What you are seeing today is not the result of what you thought today. It is the result of what you consistently believed yesterday, last week, last month. So if you change your state now, the results may not appear instantly, but they will come. They must. To act as though circumstances are not the cause is not denial, it is wisdom. It is claiming your true place as the operant power in your world. Nothing outside of you has power unless you give it power. No event, no person, no amount of evidence can override what you truly accept in your imagination. Once you make this shift in awareness, you move from being a reactor to a creator. Your life begins within. The world is the printout of your inner script. So rewrite it. Embody the state of the person you wish to be. Speak, think, and move as though it is already done, not with effort or pretense, but with quiet confidence. Let the world say what it will. Let the circumstances protest and contradict. They are fading echoes of past assumptions. Do not give them your attention. Focus instead on the reality you are choosing now, and the world will eventually yield. It has no choice. It must reflect the truth you persistently assume. The secret to all transformation begins within the mind, where the invisible becomes the foundation for the visible. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It is not idle daydreaming. It is a conscious act of identifying with a state that, though unseen by the outer world, becomes more real to you than the facts your senses present. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to shift your identity to one who already has. It is to embody the end before the world offers any confirmation. This inner movement is the true act of creation. What you accept inwardly must be made visible outwardly. That is the law of consciousness. Every person lives from a state of consciousness, and that state determines what they experience in the world. You are not reacting to life, you are responding to yourself reflected in the mirror of reality. The world is not something that happens to you, it is something that happens through you. When you persist in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, you change the blueprint from which your experiences are formed. It is not the circumstance that determines your reality, but your inner acceptance of what is true. To assume a thing is to take it for granted, not in the sense of neglecting it, but in the sense of knowing it as already done. It is no longer a question or a possibility. It is a fact in the realm of imagination. And that is the only place anything is ever created. You imagine it, you feel it, you identify with it, and you persist in that feeling until it externalizes. There is no need to push or beg or force. There is only the need to remain faithful to the unseen state that you have already claimed. This is why the outer world must not distract you. The facts may scream limitation, people may voice doubt. Your senses may deny your claim, but your inner world is the only cause. You must be loyal to it. You must choose, moment by moment, to walk in the conviction of what you have assumed. It may not be easy at first. The mind may want evidence. The emotions may fluctuate. But with persistence, the state becomes natural. You begin to think from it automatically. You speak from it, move from it, live from it. That is the point when the world begins to shift. Assuming the wish fulfilled is not something you do once in a while when it feels good. It is a commitment to live from the end regardless of the appearances. The end is the fulfilled desire. To live from the end is to carry within you the mood, the tone, the conviction of the one who already has. It does not mean pretending in a superficial way. It means feeling the truth of your desire with such depth that it overrides all outer doubt. Your inner world becomes saturated with the feeling of already having. That is the power that brings about transformation. You may be tempted to look at what is. You may want to check for signs or ask when it will happen. But the moment you look for signs, you reveal that you are not dwelling in the end. The one who truly assumes does not need signs. They do not look for evidence. They rest in the knowing, and from that rest they act naturally. They make decisions from the end. They carry themselves with the quiet confidence of the fulfilled. There is no need to pretend. It is real within, and that is enough. Assumption is not effort. It is not straining to believe. It is letting go of the old and stepping into the new. The only effort is the willingness to return to the state of fulfillment when the mind wants to wander. You do not need to battle your doubts or force yourself to feel something you do not. You only need to gently guide your attention back to the end. Again and again. This is what it means to live in faith. Not a blind belief in some higher power to deliver you something, but the living acceptance that what you have imagined is already yours. There is no power outside your consciousness. All power is within. And when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are activating that power. You are giving life to an invisible reality. You are creating cause. The world responds to that cause as effect. You are not separate from what you desire. You are one with it the moment you accept it inwardly. And once that union is made in imagination, nothing can stop its appearance unless you stop assuming it to do. This is why assumption must become your habit, not as something you struggle to maintain, but as a natural way of being. At first, it may require deliberate attention. You may need to pause and shift internally many times a day, but with repetition, it becomes your nature. You wake up feeling it. You move through your day with it. You fall asleep in it. The state becomes so normal that the idea of lacking your desire feels foreign. You are no longer trying to get. You are being. This beingness is the key. It is not a technique or a trick. It is a return to your creative authority. It is the realization that your inner world is the only world that truly matters. When you assume the wish fulfilled, You are aligning with the deeper truth of who you are, a creator, not a victim, a chooser, not a beggar. And the world, which only echoes your consciousness, must comply. Many will ask, but what if my reality shows me the opposite? And the answer remains the same. Persist in your assumption. The moment you react to what you see, you strengthen it. But when you withdraw your attention from the unwanted and place it firmly on the fulfilled state, you are withdrawing life from what no longer serves you. You are choosing to feed the new reality, and what you feed grows. Let every moment be a return. Let every doubt be a reminder to assume again. You are not powerless in this process. You are the only power. Your assumption is not just a tool. It is the very act of creation. You are not waiting for life to give you what you want. You are claiming it now. You are walking in the feeling of it now. And as you remain loyal to that feeling, the world must catch up. There is no magic in the traditional sense. There is only the law of consciousness. As within, so without. The assumption you hold is the mold, and life is the clay. What you persist in inwardly must shape the outer. No exception, no delay, unless you impose it. So let your assumption be bold. Let it be clear. Let it be felt so deeply that the world has no choice but to mirror it. This is the quiet revolution. Not changing the world directly, but changing your relationship to it by changing your inner state. The outer follows the inner. It always has, it always will. Assume wisely, assume lovingly, assume persistently. For in that assumption lies your freedom, your power, and the life you were meant to live. You are not required to fight with what is. You are not asked to resist your current condition or to argue with the evidence of your senses. Instead, you are given a higher instruction, an inner authority to ignore what is and dwell instead in what could be. To ignore the facts does not mean to deny their existence, but to deny them the power to determine your identity. You do not close your eyes and pretend that things are different. You open your spiritual eyes and see a deeper reality, one rooted in your imagination, which is the only true source of creation. The facts may claim limitation, poverty, sickness, or loneliness, but your assumption declares abundance, wholeness, love, and fulfillment. When the two conflict, you are called to decide which is real, and that decision determines the unfolding of your life. The senses are servants, not masters. They report to you what was impressed upon the subconscious mind in previous moments of belief and feeling, but they do not decide what is possible for you unless you allow them to. When you see lack and call it truth, you anchor it. When you see it and look beyond it with the eyes of imagination, you release its grip and replace it with a higher vision. Your task is not to be a slave to appearances. Your task is to rise above appearances and occupy the state that implies your desire is already fulfilled. In doing this, you realign yourself with the only true power, the creative power of consciousness. Ignoring the facts does not mean you become careless or irresponsible. It means you no longer treat the outer world as the cause of your life. You treat it as the reflection that it is. You understand that to focus on what is to perpetuate it. To continually react to circumstances is to recreate them. This is why the instruction is to live as if you have already received. You must walk through the world with the inner knowing that your desire is a present reality, not a future possibility, even if no one else can see it, even if the world denies it. Your imagination confirms it. You act, speak, think, and feel from the state of the wish fulfilled. This is not a matter of force. It is not about repeating empty affirmations while inwardly fearing or doubting. It is about a quiet, unwavering certainty. The world may shout in contradiction, but you are unmoved. You do not need to argue with people or justify your belief. You simply remain faithful to the invisible truth you have accepted, and in time the facts will bow to that assumption. They must. For the outer world is a shadow cast by the inner world. The inner world is the cause, the outer, the effect. When you stop paying attention to circumstances, you reclaim your creative dominion. You cease living as a reactor and begin living as a creator. You realize that everything you experience is the outpicturing of your state of consciousness. Therefore, if you do not like what you see, you do not wrestle with the image. You change the projector. You revise the story you tell yourself. You ask not, why is this happening to me? But who am I being that this is my reflection? Then you change who you are being, not through willpower, but through the art of assumption. To assume a new state, you must first become indifferent to the old one. If you continue to emotionally invest in the old, you keep it alive. Indifference is not denial. It is a sign that you are no longer emotionally entangled with what no longer serves you. You withdraw your energy from the unwanted and give your energy to what is wanted. You starve the facts that bind you and feed the truth that frees you. So it is not avoidance, it is mastery. There will be moments when the facts seem loud, when the bills come, when the body aches, when the person leaves, when the opportunity disappears. And in those moments, your senses will attempt to pull you back into identification with the unwanted. But that is the very moment of power. That is the place where you choose whether you live by sight or by faith. Faith is not blind, it is visionary. It sees beyond the immediate and holds to the end. It does not deny the mountain, but it says, move, and believes that it already has. Circumstances are not fixed. They are fluid. They change according to the state from which you live. You are never trapped unless you declare yourself to be. You are never stuck unless you claim that as your identity. Even if nothing changes today, your assumption can change now. And that assumption is the seed that guarantees tomorrow's harvest. Just as you do not plant a seed and then dig it up the next day, you do not assume a new state and then abandon it at the first sign of contradiction. You remain, you abide, you persist, and in that persistence, the seed matures and breaks through the soil of the scene. You do not chase results, you embody them. You do not seek evidence, you become the evidence. Your behavior, your posture, your choices, these all begin to reflect the new identity you have assumed. It is not forced, it is natural. Because you are no longer trying to become, you are being. The facts that once seemed immovable begin to bend. New people show up, unexpected paths open, old problems dissolve, and the world reflects your inner transformation. There is no one to change but self. That is the key. You do not change others. You do not change the outer world directly. You change your concept of self, and all else rearranges itself accordingly. You do not wait for permission. You do not wait for proof. You declare it done in the realm of imagination and then live from that declaration. The world may take a moment to catch up, but catch up it will. It always does. When you no longer give your power to the facts, you become dangerous to limitation. You break the cycle of cause and effect and rise to the level of creation. You no longer live in reaction to what was. You live in creation of what is. And that is the essence of freedom. Not escaping life, but shaping it. Not ignoring facts to avoid them, but seeing through them to the greater reality that lies within you. So you act as if you never pay attention to circumstances, not because they don't exist, but because they are not the final word. They are not the source. They are not the truth. You look not at what is, but at what can be. You hold fast to the feeling that it already is. You live now in the consciousness of the end, and that end, faithfully assumed, will become your new beginning. When you live with the awareness that you are the creator of your reality, you begin to realize that nothing exists outside of your consciousness. The circumstances around you, no matter how real they seem, are simply reflections of your inner state. It is not the world that shapes you, but your perception and assumption of it. The key to creating a new reality lies not in trying to control the external conditions, but in aligning your inner world with the desired outcome. It's the internal shift that initiates the external change. When you learn to ignore the circumstances, you begin to move in a way that is not dictated by the appearances around you. The world may present challenges, limitations, and struggles, but these are not your truths. Your truth is found in the state of mind you choose to occupy. To assume the wish fulfilled is to live in the consciousness of having already achieved what you desire. You do not need to wait for things to change in the outer world first. The change happens within you, and it is that inner transformation that eventually brings about the external manifestation. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror of your inner beliefs. If you believe that you are not good enough, that opportunities are scarce, or that you are a victim of your circumstances, then that is what you will experience. However, when you choose to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you shift your perception. You begin to see yourself as worthy, capable, and deserving of all that you desire. This new perception alters the way you experience the world and opens you up to new possibilities. And this is where the power of imagination comes into play. Imagination is the tool through which you can create the reality you want to experience. It is through imagination that you step into the state of being that reflects your desired outcome. When you imagine yourself living in the state of your fulfilled desire, you are effectively claiming it as your present reality. The more vividly you can imagine this state, the more real it becomes to you. You begin to see and feel yourself as the person who has already achieved what you want. You begin to walk, talk, and act as if you have already received it. Your imagination is not limited by the current circumstances. In fact, it is the very key to changing those circumstances. The more you focus on the inner reality of your desire, the more you draw that reality into your outer world. Your imagination has the power to transcend the limitations imposed by the present moment and create a new future. One of the most powerful aspects of this process is the practice of detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference or a lack of care. It means releasing the need to control or force the outcome. When you ignore the circumstances, you are not ignoring reality, but you are refusing to let reality dictate your experience. You trust that the seed you have planted in your consciousness will grow and manifest in its own time. The more you let go of your attachment to the outcome, the more you allow the universe to work in your favor. Letting go of attachment does not mean that you are passive. It means that you trust in the process and have faith that the right circumstances will align in perfect harmony with your inner state. The moment you stop trying to control the how and when, you allow the universe to bring your desire to fruition in ways that you could never have imagined. It is only by surrendering to the flow of life that you open yourself to the infinite possibilities that exist. You must also realize that you are not limited by your past. The past does not have to dictate your future. So often, people look at their current circumstances and believe that they are a direct result of past actions, decisions, or mistakes. But this is a fallacy. Your past is only a reflection of the beliefs you held at that time. Your present reality is simply the result of the thoughts and feelings you have chosen to focus on in the past. But that does not mean your future is predetermined. The future is yours to create, and it starts with your thoughts and feelings today. The moment you choose to ignore the circumstances is the moment you free yourself from the chains of the past. You no longer allow previous experiences to dictate your reality. You choose instead to focus on the present moment and the inner state that you wish to embody. You recognize that every moment is a new opportunity to shift your thoughts and feelings and therefore your reality. You are not bound by what was. You are free to create what will be. In this process of ignoring the circumstances, you also begin to practice the art of living in the end. Living in the end means assuming the state of the wish fulfilled and living from that place as if it has already happened. You stop looking at the present situation and asking, when will it change? Instead, you focus on the end result and ask, how would I feel if this were already true? You begin to live as if you have already achieved your desire, and in doing so, you activate the energy that aligns with it. This is the power of living in the end. As you continue to practice this way of thinking and being, you will begin to notice changes in your outer world. Opportunities will begin to present themselves. People will show up who are aligned with your desired outcome. Your circumstances will begin to shift in ways that reflect your inner state. And as this happens, you will have the realization that it was not the world that changed, but your perception of it. You will see that the only real change was the one you made within yourself. This process is not always easy, but it is always worth it. The more you practice ignoring the circumstances and living from the assumption of your fulfilled desire, the more natural it becomes. It becomes your new way of being. The outer world no longer has the power to shake your belief or doubt your desires. You become unshakable. The circumstances may come and go, but the truth of your inner world remains constant, and that is what ultimately shapes your experience. In the end, ignoring the circumstances is not about rejecting reality. It is about transcending it. It is about stepping into a higher state of consciousness where you recognize your power to create. You realize that the outer world is not the source of your happiness, success, or fulfillment. It is the reflection of your inner state. When you change your inner world, the outer world must change as well. And this is the law of creation, and it is the key to living the life you truly desire. When you choose to live as though you never pay attention to your circumstances, you take control of your own narrative. It is often said that we are the sum total of our experiences, but that statement assumes that we are passive recipients of life, waiting for things to happen to us. Instead, when you consciously decide to live from within, you realize that your reality is shaped by your perception of the world. You are not the victim of your circumstances, you are the creator of your life. This realization is empowering as it gives you the tools to transform any situation, no matter how difficult, into an opportunity for growth and transformation. Your circumstances, no matter how challenging or unfavorable, only have the power you allow them to have. The outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state. And when you change your inner world, your outer world must follow suit. This is the basis of all creation. The world mirrors back to you what you believe to be true about yourself. If you hold the belief that you are powerless, unlucky, or stuck in a difficult situation, that belief will be reflected back to you in the form of your circumstances. However, when you decide to look beyond your current conditions and focus on your desired outcome, you are able to create a new reality. The process of creating this new reality begins with a shift in focus. Instead of looking at the outer world and allowing it to dictate your emotions, thoughts, and actions, you focus on the inner world, the world of your imagination. Your imagination is the most powerful tool at your disposal because it is the only thing that allows you to transcend the limitations of the present moment. Through your imagination, you can envision the life you want to live, free from the constraints of your current circumstances. You are not limited by what is happening around you. You are free to create and experience a new reality. This act of focusing on your inner world requires a deep level of trust in yourself and in the process of creation. It means letting go of the need for immediate results or external validation. It is about believing that what you imagine is real, even if there is no immediate evidence to support it. The truth is that the process of creation happens within, and it is only a matter of time before your inner transformation manifests outwardly. When you stop paying attention to the circumstances, you stop allowing them to define you. You stop reacting to what is and begin living as though your desired outcome has already happened. The key to this process is living in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. To assume that you already have what you desire is to claim it as your present reality. You do not wait for external evidence to support your belief. Instead, you allow your belief to create the evidence. By living as though your desire is already fulfilled, you are aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the energy of your wish. This is not a matter of pretending or wishful thinking. It is the embodiment of your desired reality. You begin to think, feel, and act as if you are already living the life you want. And that energetic alignment with your desire is what brings it into your experience. As you live in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, you begin to notice shifts in your outer reality. Opportunities that were once hidden from view suddenly present themselves. People who can help you along the way begin to show up. The circumstances that once seemed so insurmountable begin to fade away or transform into something manageable. This is the power of living in the end. When you assume the state of having already received, you are automatically aligned with the flow of creation, and the universe conspires to bring your desires into being. However, the process of ignoring the circumstances is not about denying reality or pretending that your problems do not exist. It is about not allowing those problems to control you. It is about refusing to let the outer world dictate your inner state. The fact is that the external world is constantly shifting, and it is always in a state of flux. What may seem like a permanent situation today can change tomorrow, but your inner state, the beliefs, assumptions, and emotions that you hold, is what creates the foundation of your reality. When you focus on what you want rather than what you currently have, you align with the infinite potential for change and transformation. Another important aspect of this process is the practice of letting go. You must let go of your attachment to how things should unfold. When you are too focused on the how and when of your desire, you limit the possibilities for its manifestation. You place constraints on the universe, preventing it from bringing your desire to you in the most expansive and unexpected ways. Letting go of attachment means releasing the need to control the timing and form of your manifestation. Trust that the universe knows the best way to deliver what you desire, and be open to receiving it in the form that is right for you. In addition to letting go of attachment, you must also let go of the belief that your current circumstances are permanent. Your circumstances are not a reflection of who you are or what you are capable of. They are simply the result of your past beliefs and assumptions. When you stop paying attention to your current situation and begin to focus on your desired outcome, you send a clear message to the universe that you are ready for something new. This act of detachment frees you from the grip of your current reality and allows space for the new to emerge. Living as if you never pay attention to your circumstances also means letting go of the habit of complaining or focusing on what you lack. It is easy to get caught up in the habit of lamenting over your situation, especially when things feel difficult. However, focusing on what you don't have only perpetuates the lack. Instead, choose to focus on gratitude for what you already have, and most importantly, for what is already on its way to you. Gratitude shifts your energy from lack to abundance, and it aligns you with the flow of prosperity and possibility. As you cultivate a mindset of abundance and begin to ignore the circumstances, you will notice a sense of peace and confidence arising within you. You are no longer at the mercy of external forces. You are the creator of your life, and your inner state is your greatest tool for shaping your reality. The more you practice this way of being, the more natural it becomes. You begin to move through the world with a quiet certainty, knowing that the outer world must reflect your inner world. You are not defined by your circumstances, you are the master of your own experience. Ultimately, the practice of ignoring the circumstances is about reclaiming your power. It is about realizing that you are not bound by what is happening in the outer world. You are not a passive observer. You are an active participant in the creation of your life. When you stop paying attention to the circumstances, you step into your true power as the creator of your reality. You begin to live from the assumption of your desired outcome, and in doing so, you create a life that reflects your inner truth. You must begin by accepting a truth so bold, so absolute, that it stirs the very core of your being. The $50 million, 0 cents, is already yours. not in some distant future, not in some elusive reality, but now, right here, right now. The world you see is not a cause, it is an effect. And if you continue to respond to appearances, you will remain bound to them. But if you dare to ignore what seems to be and claim what is already yours in the unseen, then your world must bend to your inner command. The secret lies in the unseen act of assumption. You do not wait for the evidence to appear. You create the evidence by living from the state of the wish fulfilled. Act as if. Think from it, not of it. Feel the texture of the wealth. Walk with the poise of someone who knows they are abundantly provided for. Speak not as a beggar hoping for fortune, but as one who distributes wealth because you know the source within you can never run dry. Close your eyes and imagine it real, not as a fleeting dream, but as your present condition. Smell the newness of your surroundings. Hear the sounds of success echo in your daily life. See your bank statement, not as you hope it might be, but as it already is, overflowing. Let the feeling of richness flood your senses. This is not play. This is creation. You must withdraw attention from the lack. Ignore the bank balance that screams limitation. Ignore the whispers of doubt that come dressed as logic. All these are merely shadows of past belief. You are not here to reflect the world, you are here to reshape it. Your inner speech, your inner reactions, your daily posture, these are your tools. And when used faithfully, they bring to pass what once seemed impossible. Every time you catch yourself reaching or yearning, remind yourself, I already have it. The $50 million, 0 cents is mine. I am not hoping to receive it. I am expressing it. I am aligned with the vibration of wealth. The world must echo my inner claim, for it has no power of its own. It only mirrors me. Live as if the money has already been deposited. Make decisions from abundance, not fear. Dress, walk, and speak from the wealth that now lives within you. Let others call it delusion. It does not matter, for you have entered a new state, and all things must conform to the state in which you dwell. Feel it so naturally that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself in obedience to your conviction. To live from the end is to occupy a state of mind so fully that it becomes your reality, even before the world reflects it back to you. It is not a matter of pretending or playing make-believe. It is an inner conviction, a deep knowing that what you have imagined is already yours. When you act from the end, you no longer look at your desire as something to be attained. You claim it as already fulfilled. You no longer try to get rich. You recognize and accept that you are rich. You walk in the vibration of that wealth, and it becomes the very ground you stand upon. This is not about waiting for the world to give you permission. It is about stepping into the role you have already chosen for yourself. If you desire $50 million, 0 cents, then you must begin now to think as someone who possesses it. You must begin to feel the ease, the joy, the generosity, and the certainty of one who knows that this wealth is secure. There is no reaching, there is no struggling. There is only resting in the truth that what you imagine with feeling is more real than what your eyes can see. When you live from the end, you are no longer hoping, wishing, or waiting. Hope always places the fulfillment in the future. But this teaching is about the present. It demands that you bring the future into the now, not by force, but by assumption. Assumption is the act of faith. It is the creative power itself. To assume you have something is to give it life, to breathe spirit into the unseen, and to know that what you birth in consciousness must come forth in the physical realm. Think of the version of yourself who already has $50 million, 0 cents. What does that person think about on a daily basis? What do they worry about? Or better yet, what do they no longer worry about? How do they walk into a room? What decisions do they make differently? Begin to study that version of yourself, not as an ideal to be admired from afar, but as your true identity, because it is. The moment you adopt the feeling of being that person, the outer world must begin to mirror that identity back to you. Living from the end requires boldness. It requires you to ignore the voices around you that speak limitation and impossibility. The world will always show you what you used to believe, but you are not bound to your past beliefs. You are free in every moment to assume a new state. The old man dies and the new man rises when you decide to dwell in a higher state of being. You are never asked to make the $50 million 0 cents happen. You are only asked to believe that it is already yours, and then to move in the world as though it is so. This kind of living is not passive. It is intensely active, but not in the way the world defines action. The true work is internal. The true action is imagination, feeling, belief, and assumption. Outward activity will follow naturally from this inner transformation. But if you begin with outer effort, without inner alignment, you only reinforce the idea that you are without. That is why living from the end is so powerful. It reverses the order. It says, I have it now. I am it now. And because I am, I see. You must learn to feel it real. Sit quietly and see yourself in the circumstances that reflect your desire fulfilled. Let it be so vivid that it stirs emotion within you. See the numbers on the account. Feel the weight of financial security. Sense the calm and confidence that comes with knowing you are free. Stay there in your mind. Stay there in your body. That is your new home. Don't visit it as a guest. Reside there. Awakening from the end means you no longer ask for proof. You no longer seek validation in the outer world. The only proof you need is the feeling within you. That feeling is the evidence of things not seen. That feeling is the seed, and when nourished with attention and belief, it grows into form. But if you dig up the seed every day to check its progress, you interfere with its growth. So you must remain faithful to the end you have claimed. Even when the world shows you contradiction, you stay rooted in the truth you've accepted. It is done. This way of life transforms not only your finances, but your entire sense of self. You realize that you are not the effect of life, but the cause. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the master of them. And your mastery begins the moment you choose to dwell in the end instead of the process. Don't get caught up in the how. The how is none of your business. The state of being is your business. The how will be revealed through inspiration, coincidence, and the natural unfolding of events. But it all begins with your inner stance. So if you truly desire that $50 million 0 cents, claim it now, not with desperation, but with calm certainty. Claim it not as something you need, but as something you already have. Let every choice, every word, every thought be filtered through the lens of one who possesses it. That is the meaning of living from the end. That is how the unseen, that is how you step into the version of you who no longer desires, but expresses, no longer begs, but gives, no longer waits, but knows. Imagination is the creative force behind everything you experience. It is not a fleeting daydream or a whimsical escape from reality. It is reality's foundation. Everything that exists began first in the unseen realm of imagination. The chair you sit on, the clothes you wear, the money in the bank, all of it originated as thought, as idea, as image. The world you see is merely the outpicturing of imagination that has been sustained and believed in. Once you understand this, you stop chasing the external and begin cultivating the internal. The $50 million 0 cents you desire is not something to go out and find. It is something to bring forth from within. Imagination creates reality because consciousness is the only creative power. You are not just imagining for entertainment. You are creating when you imagine with feeling. That inner act done in silence and stillness has more power than any outward action could ever have. This is not metaphor. This is literal truth. Imagination is the workshop of the infinite. When you imagine an outcome and believe in its reality, You plant a seed in the fabric of existence. That seed, once planted, grows according to its kind. Huh? The secret is to imagine the desired outcome as though it were happening now. Not later, not someday, now. Because when you imagine it as future, you keep it out of reach. But when you bring it into the present, when you close your eyes and feel the reality of already being the person who has $50 million, 0 cents, you fuse the imagined with the real, and the outer world must eventually reflect that fusion. Many people believe imagination is child's play. They dismiss it as fantasy. But what they fail to see is that everything they now take for granted, every object, invention, structure, or event, was once someone's fantasy. The moment it was accepted and emotionally felt as real, it began to take shape. The mind doesn't differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. That's why a fearful thought can bring anxiety, and a joyful image can make you smile. Imagination impresses itself upon your subconscious, and the subconscious is the bridge between the formless and the formed. The mistake most people make is using imagination to rehearse what they don't want. They imagine debt. They imagine lack. They imagine being denied, rejected, or left out. They replay worst-case scenarios. And then they wonder why these patterns keep showing up in their lives. The truth is, they are always creating, but not consciously. You don't stop creating when you stop visualizing what you want. You just start creating more of what you fear. To reclaim your power, you must take responsibility for your imagination. The most powerful use of imagination is to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let's say you desire $50 million, 0 cents. Close your eyes and picture it. But don't just see the money. See yourself living as the one who has it. How does your day unfold? What conversations are you having? What new possibilities have opened up? Let the image expand. Feel your body relax in the assurance that all is well. You're not hoping anymore, you are living it internally. This inner atmosphere becomes magnetic. It becomes a mold, a blueprint, and your outer world conforms to it. The inner world governs the outer. What you imagine and feel becomes more real than what you see with the eyes, because what you see is only the residue of past beliefs. If you want to change what you see, you must go to the source. And the source is your imagination, imbued with feeling. Feeling is the secret ingredient. It's not enough to casually see an image. You must feel it to be true. When the feeling matches the image, the impression is made. When the impression is made, the result is certain. Your outer circumstances may seem unchanged at first. That is not the time to doubt. That is the time to persist. The seed is already planted. The roots are growing beneath the surface. Don't dig it up with fear or second guessing. Stay faithful to the vision. When you're tempted to look at your current bank account and feel discouraged, return to the image in your mind. See it again. Feel it again. That is your truth, not the temporary conditions around you. Imagination is your access point to infinite supply. There is no limit to what you can create because you are not creating from effort. You are creating from being. You are not depending on the world to deliver your good. You are impressing upon the world the version of you that already has it. This reversal of cause and effect is the doorway to transformation. You don't wait for the money to feel abundant. You feel abundant to receive the money. You don't wait for success to feel confident. You feel confident and success follows. The mind, when disciplined, becomes a sacred space. It becomes the engine of miracles. And the more you use your imagination consciously, the more your outer world begins to soften and bend in response. Opportunities appear, synchronicities unfold, people show up. The bridge of incidents begins to form. But all of it originates from the stillness of inner vision. You don't chase the result. You align with the cause, and the cause is always your own imagination. Every great change begins within. Every fortune starts as a feeling. You may not know exactly how the $50 million 0 cents will come, and that doesn't matter. The how belongs to a greater intelligence. Your only task is to dwell in the end, feel the reality of it. Let it become your dominant vibration. Let it color your mood, your walk, your tone, your expectations. Live as if it were impossible to fail. Live as if it were already yours. Because in imagination, it is. And once it is real in imagination, it is only a matter of time before it hardens into fact. This is not superstition, this is law. This is creation. This is your power. Use it wisely. Use it daily. Use it with love. Acting as if is not pretense. It is not a game of faking something to impress others or to deceive yourself into a temporary illusion. It is the sacred act of embodying the reality of what you desire before it shows up. It is walking in the vibration of fulfillment while the evidence is still invisible. When you act as if the $50 million 0 cents is already yours, you are not lying to yourself. You are aligning with a deeper truth. A truth that is not dependent on appearances. You are accepting the unseen as seen. You are saying with your entire being, this is who I am now. This way of living is subtle but profound. It requires a shift in awareness. Instead of reacting to what the world is showing you, you respond from the state you have chosen. You begin to carry yourself as the one who already has. Your thoughts take on the flavor of ownership. Your decisions reflect your new identity. There is no more asking if it's coming or when it will arrive. It is already done in consciousness, and that is enough. The outer will catch up, for it has no choice. When you act as if, you tap into the feeling of certainty. This is more than hope. Hope still suggests distance between you and your desire. Certainty, on the other hand, dissolves that gap. You are not reaching, you are not waiting, you are living from the end. You begin to feel wealthy, not just in your bank account, but in your soul. You feel expanded, generous, safe. You don't make choices from fear or limitation. You move in confidence, not arrogance. You trust your inner knowing, not the outer conditions. There is something magnetic about a person who walks in quiet confidence. They are not shouting about what they have, they are being it. And that being draws life toward them. Acting as if is not performance, it is inner permission. It is giving yourself the right to live as the person you choose to be, rather than the person your past has conditioned you to believe you are. It is a powerful break from identity built on limitation. You begin to identify not with lack, but with fullness. Acting as if does not mean reckless spending or pretending you have something you don't. It means embodying the feeling of already having it. There's a world of difference between trying to appear rich and feeling the richness within. The one is shallow and rooted in ego. The other is deep and rooted in truth. When you feel wealthy inside, your posture changes. Your voice softens. Your eyes brighten. You become less desperate, more open. You start blessing others, not just asking for blessings. That is the posture of someone who already has. The person who acts as if $50 million 0 cents is already theirs doesn't wait for proof. They make decisions from abundance. They are not frantic, they are not grasping, they do not shrink themselves. They no longer say, I can't afford it, with the spirit of limitation. They begin to speak from the place of creative possibility. How would the version of me with $50 million 0 cents handle this? That becomes the guiding question. And that question opens doors. This way of being does not come from willpower. It comes from assumption. Once you assume the state of the one who has what they desire, your body and mind begin to adapt. Habits shift. Self-picture transforms. Even your energy becomes contagious. People begin to treat you differently because the vibration you carry speaks louder than words. You are no longer seeking approval, you have found self-approval, and that creates ripple effects in your reality. You must be bold enough to live from this inner reality even when the outer contradicts it. That is where most people turn back. They begin to imagine, to act as if, but when the world does not immediately mirror it, they doubt. They return to their old state and call it being realistic. But you are not here to bow to the visible, you are here to give form to the invisible. Acting as if is a sacred rebellion against the tyranny of facts. It is claiming the truth of the unseen as more powerful than what is presently seen. Faith is action, not just belief, but embodiment. You don't wait to feel worthy until the money arrives. You feel worthy and the money is drawn to that frequency. You don't wait to feel joy until the manifestation comes. You live in joy and that joy reshapes the world around you. Acting as if is living in the vibration of the end result before it appears and thereby causing it to appear. The world is your mirror, not your master. As you persist in this state, you find that your circumstances begin to shift. Not because you forced them, but because you align with something higher. You no longer think like someone who lacks. You think like someone who owns. You speak like someone who trusts. You walk like someone who already knows the outcome. This energy is irresistible to life itself. Resources come. Opportunities open. Connections appear, not by chasing them, but by being the one to whom they naturally flow. When you act as if you raise your point of attraction, you step into the field where all possibilities exist and choose the one you desire, not through force, but through being. It is like tuning into a frequency. The music of $50 million, 0 cents is already playing. You just need to match the station. That match is found not through striving, but through surrendering to the state of already having. When you truly act as if, you no longer ask if it will happen. You simply prepare for its arrival. And preparation is also part of acting as if. You begin to organize your life to welcome the very thing you say is yours. You manage your finances as though you are stewarding great wealth. You care for your body as though you are valuable and worthy. You treat your time as precious. You hold conversations with yourself that reflect dignity, not doubt. You do not beg the universe, you thank it. Gratitude becomes your foundation because you know the thing is already given. To act as if is to collapse time. You are bringing the future into the now. You no longer push your desires into some distant tomorrow. You pull them into today by claiming the identity that matches them. You say yes before you see. You move forward even in uncertainty. And with every small step, the reality you imagine begins to shape itself around you. What was once internal becomes external. What was once invisible becomes visible, but it was always yours. And it still is. The $50 million, 0 cents, is not just a number. It is a state of consciousness. It is not about paper or digits, but about how you feel, how you think, how you perceive the world. Money follows identity. Abundance follows assumption. When you act as if, you tell life exactly who you are, and life answers accordingly, always. To claim something is yours, you must move beyond the wish for it and step into the knowing that it already belongs to you. This is not the type of knowing that comes from logic or observation. It is a deeper, spiritual knowing, one rooted in inner conviction. You are not asking whether you deserve $50 million, 0 cents. You are not seeking permission from the outside world to have it. You are claiming it as a present reality, not because you see it with your eyes, but because you feel it in your soul. The greatest mistake people make is waiting for confirmation before they believe. But belief is not passive acceptance. It is an act of creation. When you say, "This is already mine," you are not predicting the future, you are creating it. You are declaring the unseen as seen, and through that declaration you begin to shape the world around you. What you claim within will be reflected without. But the claim must be total, creator of your experience. It must not be filled with doubt, hesitation, or contradiction. You cannot say, "It is mine," while secretly hoping it will come one day. That is not claiming. It is yearning. True claiming is final. It is done. To claim your $50 million 0 cents now, you must understand that you are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. You are the operant power. You are the cause. The outer world is only the effect. If you believe it is the other way around, you will remain trapped in delay, waiting for signs that may never come, because you haven't taken the first step within. That first step is internal ownership. You must own the state of wealth, even in the absence of physical evidence, not just casually, but completely. You must take hold of it in your mind and refuse to let it go, even when appearances mock your belief. Do this by living from the end, not just thinking about the end, not just dreaming of the end, but placing yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the state where the money is already yours. You feel the weight of that reality. You hear the inner conversations of someone who already has it. You make decisions as though the money were in your account today. You speak to yourself not as a person in lack, but as someone who is stewarding wealth. And most importantly, you no longer ask how or when. You simply rest in the truth that it is yours. Claiming it now means you stop affirming lack. You stop rehearsing the story that says you're still waiting, still hoping, still trying. You start speaking as the one who already possesses. You say things like, "I am wealthy, I am prosperous, my wealth serves me and serves others." You do not wait to see it before you affirm it. You affirm it until you see it. Not because the words are magical, but because they shift your state. The words are not meant to convince some outside force. They're meant to anchor you in your chosen identity. When you claim something, you embody it. It becomes a part of you. You don't look outside yourself for confirmation. You don't ask others what they think. You don't keep checking the bank account to see if it's true. You already know. The knowing is the seed, and from that seed all things grow. But if you keep digging up the seed to check its progress, you will stunt its growth. You must trust the process. You must persist in the assumption. The more you claim it, the more the outer world rearranges itself to reflect what you have already accepted within. Many people think they are claiming, but they're only wishing. A wish is fragile, easily broken by disappointment. But a claim is solid. It holds steady in storms. It does not flinch when reality seems to deny it. It does not beg for validation. A true claim says, "This is mine. I don't need to prove it. I don't need to chase it. I only need to remain in the knowing of it." That is the secret. Remaining in the knowing. No matter what shows up, no matter how long it seems to take, you stand firm in your inner reality, and eventually your outer world will follow. To live this way is to live by inner vision, not outer sight. It is to recognize that the universe does not respond to desperation or effort. It responds to alignment. When you are aligned with a version of you who has $50 million 0 cents, you begin to think, feel, and act like that person. Your vibration changes, your choices elevate, your self-concept expands. And that expansion sends a clear signal to life. This is who I am now. Life always mirrors back the identity you hold most consistently. Claiming your wealth also means letting go of the identity of struggle. You cannot be both poor and rich in your mind at the same time. You must choose. And once you choose, you must remain loyal to that choice. That means letting go of habits, thoughts, and beliefs that contradict your claim. You cannot say, "I am rich," and then complain about money. You cannot say, "I have it now," and then talk about what you lack. Every time you do, you cancel the claim. You dilute the power of your assumption. You must become radically faithful to your new identity. There will be moments when doubt tries to creep in. The world may appear unchanged for a while, but that is not your concern. Your only task is to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. You do not need to hustle or manipulate circumstances. You simply live from the knowing that what you have claimed is already yours. And because it is already yours, you do not chase it. You prepare for it. You welcome it. You celebrate it. You give thanks for it before it arrives. That is the essence of true faith. Gratitude is the language of ownership. When you are thankful for something, you affirm its presence. So begin now. Feel the gratitude of already having $50 million, 0 cents. Let that feeling flood your body. Imagine what it's like to wake up and know that every financial need is met. Imagine the freedom, the peace, the joy, not in some future moment, but now. Let that feeling be your home. Let it be your guide. And let it remind you over and over again that the claim has already been made and it cannot be revoked. When you live from this place, life becomes a reflection of your inner dominion. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are no longer bound by appearances. You are free, free to choose, free to create, free to claim what is already yours by divine right. And in that freedom, everything begins to shift, not because the world changed first, but because you did. You dared to believe, you dared to assume, and you dared to claim it now. Diana. To act as if the $50 million, 0 cents, is already yours. You must allow your thoughts, emotions, and actions to align with the reality you have accepted within. This is not a game of pretending, hoping, or trying to manipulate life into giving you something. It is a total shift in your state of being. You are not becoming someone who will have $50 million, 0 cents one day. You are becoming the person who has it now. Everything about your energy must reflect that truth. This includes how you think about yourself, how you speak to others, how you carry yourself in the world, and how you handle every situation that arises. You are no longer trying to get wealth. You are now revealing it. Every action you take must spring from this new state. The moment you declare internally, "This is mine," the outer performance of your life must begin to change. There is no more room for doubt or contradiction. You cannot affirm wealth and act in fear. You cannot speak of abundance and shrink when decisions arise. The person who already has the $50 million, 0 cents, does not entertain scarcity thoughts. They do not move with hesitation. They do not make choices out of desperation. They move with assurance, with calm, with clarity. This is not arrogance, it is divine confidence. It is a state of rest in the truth that what is real within must become real without. To act as if you already have it means to live with the emotions that come from having it. Wealth is not just a number in your bank account, it is a vibration. You must generate the feeling of abundance regardless of what the outside world shows. You must feel the joy of freedom, the calm of security, the pride of accomplishment, and the peace of knowing you are supported. These feelings are not reserved for the future. They are available now. And the more you feel them, the more you reinforce the truth that the money is already yours. You are no longer reacting to appearances. You are choosing your inner atmosphere. Many misunderstand this principle. They think acting as if means spending recklessly, boasting about wealth, or trying to impress others. That is not alignment. That is ego. True alignment is silent, steady, and internal. It's not about what others see. It's about what you accept. You may still be walking in the same shoes, living in the same home, but your spirit has shifted. You are not the same person. You are no longer asking, "What if I never get it?" You are now walking with the inner declaration, "I already have it." This quiet certainty radiates from you. And because life responds to who you are, it begins to deliver more evidence of your claim. Your inner dialogue becomes crucial. Every time you think about money, you must do so from the perspective of someone who already has it. You do not say, I hope it comes, you say, it is mine. You do not worry about how it will arrive, you rest in the knowing that it already has. This mental discipline is the foundation. Without it, you will revert to old patterns of fear and doubt, but with it, you will begin to see small shifts, subtle changes in how you feel, how others respond to you, and how opportunities present themselves. These are the early signs of manifestation. Your behavior also changes. You begin to treat yourself with more respect. You make choices that align with your new identity. You stop wasting time on what no longer serves you. You say no to situations that contradict your wealth consciousness. You start organizing your life as though you are already managing great resources. You speak differently. You carry yourself with composure. You no longer apologize for wanting more. To live in lack. You stop explaining yourself to people who live in lack. You understand that your wealth is not about ego. It is about expression, service, and truth. Even your environment begins to reflect your internal state. You care for your surroundings. You clean your space. You invest in what brings joy and beauty. You no longer tolerate disorder because it does not reflect who you are. The person who has $50 million, 0 cents, lives in order, peace, and purpose. They do not accept chaos in their mind or their home. So you start living with greater intention, not for show, but because it feels right, it matches your new vibration. Every detail of your life becomes a mirror of what you have claimed internally. People may not understand your transformation. Some may question your calm. Others may wonder why you no longer stress about money. But you don't need to explain anything. You are not proving your wealth to the world, you are living it. And in time, the outer world will catch up. But until then, you remain faithful to your chosen state. You do not compromise it for comfort. You do not abandon it when appearances contradict it. You persist, not out of force, but out of deep knowing. You understand that the outer must reflect the inner, and you choose to remain loyal to the inner first. You may be inspired to take new actions. Follow them. You may feel nudged to change direction, end relationships, or begin new projects. Honor those promptings. When you act as if it is already yours, you are not waiting for the world to move, you are moving with the world. Your intuition becomes sharper, your sense of timing improves. You begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. Why? Because you are now tuned to a new frequency. You are not reacting to life, you are creating from it. And what you create is always a match to your identity. Never underestimate the power of subtle acts. A simple choice made in alignment can shift your entire trajectory. A decision to carry yourself with dignity. A moment of silence when others speak doubt. A private smile when you feel the truth within. These small things shape your reality. They are not meaningless, they are magnetic. You are always broadcasting who you believe yourself to be, and life listens carefully. So act with grace, with gratitude, and with absolute faith, not to convince others, but to remain true to the version of yourself who already has it all. The more you act in harmony with your claim, the less resistance you feel. You stop wondering if it's possible. You stop asking for signs. You stop questioning your worth. You begin to live naturally from your new state. It no longer feels like pretending. It feels like remembering. It feels like returning to the truth. And in that space, miracles unfold, not because you chased them, but because you aligned with them. You became the doorway through which wealth could express itself. You gave it a home in your mind, in your heart, and in your actions. And now it flows, not as something you pursued, but as something you accepted.